Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to TTTV. This is TTL F1 Season 13, Round 13, which takes us to the Belgian Grand Prix. My name is Kieran McGinley, and joining me in the commentary box, it's been such a long time, Andy Campbell joins me. Andy, how are you tonight?
Yes, I'm very good. The dream team is reunited back on TTL as a Thursday. It's not been the same, being away. Obviously, I was glad, it was nice to do TTFL and do something a little bit different. Obviously, Malk's now there as well, and it was due to come back last week, but a prior arrangement took me over. But I am back. And it's been an interesting season. I've been watching from a bit of a distance. Squeezy's been flying through this season so far. It's been absolutely incredible. I'm sure you're going to run us through the standings and everything as you usually do, of course, though, Kieran, but it is really good to be back on Thursday nights, I must be honest.
Absolutely, and as you say, it has been a dominant start for Squeezy this time around, who I believe has gone through a name change. More on that later. As it stands, though, Squeezy is at the top of the table on 248 points. His nearest rival, Ollie, in second place on 141. Then it is Spike in third on 128. Sean in fourth on 85, with Lighty in fifth on 67. Lyronics as a reserve in sixth on 58 points. It's Siege in seventh on 55. White, who made his debut in the Haas last time out, he's in eighth in the championship in 48 points. Mays in ninth on 47. Zenki in 10th on 42. Then it is Pursuit in 11th on 19 points. Little Piece in 12th on 13 points. Dave M as a reserve is there in 13th on 10 points. Alan K in 14th on 9 points. Graham in 15th on 7 points. Plaster made his debut out in the Ferrari as a full-time driver. He's in 16th on 6 points, with Yuzi 17th place in the Toro Rosso on 3 points. Looking at the constructors table, well, it's even bigger gap. Mercedes 376 to Red Bull's 210. It's a massive gap between the two of them at the moment, and we'll have to see if any of them, any team, can get anywhere close to them. McLaren are even further back on 121. It's Williams in fourth on 101, who currently have no drivers for their team whatsoever. Haas are in fifth on 100, Force India in sixth on 86. It's Toro Rosso in seventh on 74, with Ferrari in eighth on 69 points. Renault in ninth on 56, and Sauber at the bottom of the table on 11 points. It has been a season, as you say, Andy, that has rather been dominated by Squeezy. Whenever he's finished on the podium, it's either been first or second place. In fact, the only two times he hasn't finished on the podium was the British Grand Prix, where of course he crashed out after a collision with Zenki, and in the Hungarian Grand Prix, where he put on the wrong tyres towards the end of the race. He ended up finishing fourth in that one. Other than that, though, it's been a completely and utterly faultless season from him.
Absolutely. I mean, if you look at it from Australia through to Austria, so was it the first 9 rounds of the season? Apart from he finished second in Bahrain, second in Austria, and he's won everything else. We knew he was quite possibly doing this kind of form. He started showing it at the end of last season as well, where he was chasing down Blizzard for the championship, and we thought he might just have the chance, but Blizzard were just too many wins early on in the season. Now he's doing the exact same thing that Blizzard did, except if I do be say it, actually better, considering he's run a record there, and it's just been incredible. He does have a name change. He's now TTG Jack, so we'll need to keep an eye out. This whole PSN change is going to cause us a little bit of fun trying to remember who's who with some of the names, but I'm sure we'll get there in the end, obviously. It'll be interesting to see. But Spa is our a motor racing's version of a spa day. Sod having your back massage and your back facials or whatever else you want. This is the motorsport equivalent, and it is the damn sight better than anything else. Drop by, see the cars fly up the hill from Rouge and over the top at Radion. Stand by the side of the kennel straight with a poke of chips and some mayonnaise as they do in Belgium. Maybe some chocolates if you've been to the shop beforehand. Couple of cans of Stella. It's a brilliant place to be. I'd love to go one day. I'm sure people have. And this track is always a driver's favourite. Last season, though, if you remember, Kieran, we seen a almighty incident on the run up the hill through Eau Rouge and Radion. Took out half the field. We ended up with just 6 drivers at the end of the race. I hope we don't see a repeat of that tonight.
You reminded me well of that one. I probably should have put that up as a promo and saying, like, this is how much carnage the Belgian Grand Prix can cause. There, nothing on 1997. Season 12 had it all, the Belgian Grand Prix. And then, Andy, there was the challenge of commentating on 6 cars going around the track, which shortly turned to 5 when Alan Kay crashed out of the race. Not long afterwards, I think, and Plaster joined him not long after. So commentating over 5 cars was a little bit of a challenge.
It was a little bit. Thankfully, I jumped in and found a few couple of quiz questions to keep us going. And I remember, obviously, the bit between Lambo out in the lead and Ollie, who had pitted under the safety car and run into the end on those tyres, gave us something interesting to keep in touch with rather than the on-track action. The whole can he catch up, will he catch up sort of battle. And then we obviously had a late safety car as well, if I remember rightly as well, which just threw another mix into it. Despite it being the longest track in the calendar, it is still possible to see safety cars here at Spa-Francorchamps, and it'll be interesting to see if we see any tonight. Qualifying is definitely going to be dry. We will wait for the weatherman to say whether the actual race will be or not. 15 drivers here this evening, so 3/4 of a grid, not too bad. I'll take that for coming back here for the first time this season for season 13, and looking forward to this one for sure. Some names, obviously, we all know them quite well, but can Squeezy, basically cement what is likely to be at this point in time being champion of season 13? I mean, he's well on his way to it. Can anybody stop him in this final stage of the season? It's going to be interesting to see if anyone steps up to the plate.
Yeah, and the thing about it is that you can say it however you want in this season, but you have to get to the end of the season to be crowned the champion, and obviously it's a long way to go still. We are at the Belgian Grand Prix. It is a favourite of mine. And one thing I want to say is Squeezy or Jack, whichever way, I think it's going to be a transition period. As we now head down the run towards Radion, up here, this hill here, I've actually stood on that bit of track. It is so much steeper than it looks on these cameras. It's a very, very sharp incline. And the thing is, you don't see the apex of Radion until you're past it, basically. So it's a really challenging corner, and we head now through this S section here. Fantastic corner, of course. We'll have the ultimate Andy lap, as I know he's itching to get back onto that one.
Definitely. So it's been a long time. It's been a while, so I'm looking forward to it, and what a track it is. But yeah, Erosion Radion, so it's a lot easier than what it used to be back in the day, obviously, but it is a lot steeper. The camera makes it look not as much of a challenge as it actually is. I've seen some photos from down below, at the bottom of the hill. It just looks so steep. It's incredible. It also reminds me of Circuit of the Americas going up to turn 1. I mean, it's steep, but you don't realise just how steep it is until you see it at a proper angle. So, but brilliant track we've got coming up here. So we're just going to be waiting for Squeezy. This is usually traditional. Jack, Squeezy, whatever we're going to call him, as they say. It is going to be a traditional period, I'm sure. It's a bit like when we get on to the next game. We're still going to be calling them Salba when they're now Alfa Romeo, and we're still going to be saying Force India rather than Racing Point. But we'll deal with that in a couple of months' time when the new game comes out. But here comes Jack, Squeezy into the final chicane, taking the longest way around so he can get the power and as much speed out of the chicane as possible. DRS on the way down to the Le Colombe hairpin, looking for the braking point around about 75 metres down to first gear. Missed the apex a little bit there, but still able to get through very nicely. And now back up through the gears, heading downhill towards Eau Rouge. Eau Rouge is the first part just here at the bottom of the hill. Then we're going up over the hill, and he's made a big mistake, and he's in the wall. Huge mistake into the wall, and that's going to put him down at the back of the field. And that is what happens when you try and take Eau Rouge flat and you just get it even the slightest bit wrong. You're over the top of Radion and you're having a massive crash.
Yeah, that had feels of Kevin Magnussen when the back end just lost him completely back in 2016, and it just looked like there was too much ballast on the rear of that car, and well, it's lost the back end. That is Jack out of the session, and Andy, we're going to find someone else to jump on board with your lap. We've got Charlie here, who was coming on to his lap. It's his debut this weekend, or today anyway.
Yeah, so he's now over the line. Let's hope he doesn't make a mistake, because if he does, then I'm going to quit the hot lap for tonight if he crashes out, because I'll have jinxed it. So through La Sauce, he's on the medium tyres, which is quite interesting as well, the hardest compound possible for Charlie here in the Salva. Coming up to Eau Rouge, hopefully he's not going to make the same mistake here that Jack did, coming up over the crest. Oh, just catching over the top of Radion. I thought he was going to run wide there, and then DRS down this huge long back straight, down the Kemmel straight, heading up to Lacan. platforms. This is where the track splits from the old and into the new, down the gears, fourth gear, around about 90 miles an hour into the first part, missed the apex in the second part, and then into the right-handers. You head down the hill towards Brussels, I believe it's called, with a different spelling to the actual capital. Very tricky corner, downhill, cambered slightly as well, third gear on the way through, and he's into the wall as well. So I'll stick on board as he's damaged his wing through the corner with no name and heading to poo on, but I get a feeling he's got some damage on that car and that's going to be a struggle for him. Yeah, he's definitely damaged the wing coming through Pujon, so I'm not going to get him doing a hot lap tonight, but it looks as if I seem to be cursing everybody so far. So I think for the sake of everybody's sanity out there on the track, I'll leave be the rest of it.
Well, Light D there, 143.4 on a set of super soft tyres with Graham 145.2. Obviously we've got the super soft, softs and mediums back to normality after the Hungarian Grand Prix, where you obviously miss out a tyre compound. None of that today. We've got those super soft, softs and medium tyres to play around with. But the thing about it is, obviously there's 22 laps around the Belgian Grand Prix, but it is the longest track on the calendar.
It is definitely so. Longest track on the calendar. Just watching there, I think that was Uzi just going a bit wide coming out of Stavolo. I don't know if he's damaged his wing. Looks not too bad through Blanchimont, but no, he does have that damage as well. So everybody I'm watching at the moment seems to be bumping into walls everywhere that I'm looking at, and that was not even hot lapping it. So he's back into pit lane, having run wide there. But yeah, longest track in the calendar. It is 4.352 miles long. Lap record held by Valtteri Bottas at last year's race, for a race lap record anyway, a 146.286, and Uzi's decided after running wide out Stavolo that he's decided he doesn't fancy it anymore, qualifying with 12 minutes to go. So some interesting scenarios already. Obviously 5 drivers out of this field will be able to pick a tyre at the start rather than the one they've qualified on, and obviously 2 of that slots are already taken up by Uzi and Jack, who are now no longer in the session. Chance for some to get up the order where they'd normally not be, possibly, and it'll be interesting to see if anyone does. Spike, Jack's teammate in the other Mercedes, just put himself into second place on the medium tyres as well, only 1.1 seconds down, so it's a pretty decent lap time there from Spike on the hardest compound. Lighty still on for pole position. He is on the softest compound, the super softs, at the moment, so a decent lap there from Spike, just 1.1 seconds down on the hardest compound.
Absolutely, and you just saw a stricken McLaren back in the exit of Raddy on there. That was George Roberts. The stricken car is now out of qualifying, so a similar mistake there to Jack, who also finds himself out of qualifying. But yeah, 7.004 kilometres and the 22 laps, and a scenario where the super soft tyres may not be the best tyres. They'll last about 3 or 4 laps at best. Surely you want to be sticking onto the soft tyre.
Yeah, we've seen it last season, even though it was the 5-car race that we've mentioned obviously in the intro. The super softs are, they're obviously going to give you the grip, they're going to give you that extra speed that you need for qualifying, but in terms of the race, your ideal pit strategy is either starting on the soft yellow banded tyres and going to the mediums, or vice versa. If you're on the super soft tyres, you're looking for a safety car early doors, to try and help you out, or possibly later on in the race to help you out. So the ideal strategy is the 2 turns around here. I'd be surprised to see, especially now with 3 drivers out of qualifying already, I will be very surprised to see many drivers going for the super softs now, because there's only going to be 2 drivers that don't make the top 10, so you've got nothing to lose really now by going for that soft compound and prioritising the race much more. And that's exactly what Spike's doing. He's now improved on his time. He's only 2 tenths down on his second run on Lighty's pole position time, and still on those medium tyres. I would expect to see him back into pit lane now. He'll probably just be coasting his way back round, but yeah, with 3 drivers out, you're just as well to try and go for the soft and the mediums now, because you're more likely to be in the top 10 and further up the field and hopefully miss out on any incidents in action in lap 1. And it would be, for me, a bit crazy, unless you think you can put it on pole position and pull away, to go for super soft tyres. But that's why we sit in the commentary box, not out on the track here. Maybe somebody's going to prove us wrong.
I say it time and time again, Andy. I'm in the commentary box for a reason. Pursuit here, by the way, just in the chat saying he's back on the controller. He did have last time out he was on his wheel. He's decided, nope, not tonight. He's back on the controller, and we'll have to see what sort of lap times he's going to set. Sean there in the Haas is in really, really good form at the moment. Currently in third place again on those medium tyres, the hardest compound we have here today. And I don't know how many races you've watched back, Andy, but he got that pole at Monaco, and it's been uphill really ever since.
Yeah, I've not had the chance to watch fully everything back, unfortunately. Time just gets a wee bit too much, unfortunately. Yellow flag somewhere in Sector 1, which has now disappeared. I think it might have been Charlie running wide, but Sean has been good because he also races within the Project Cars League that I do on the Saturday nights. He's missed a couple of rounds due to work, but in that, when he's been there, he's usually been up towards the sort of, you know, third, fourth, fifth place generally in most of the races. So even on the other games, he's showing some really good speed. As you say, seems to be hitting a bit of a purple patch possibly at the moment, and third place on those medium tyres at the moment. He'll be very happy with that indeed. And again, especially with those three drivers already out of qualifying, it is a good place for him to be and really sets him up well for the race. You were mentioning about Nexus Pursuit there, mentioning he's back on the pad, as Ollie's decided he's retired without setting a lap. So we're now down 4 drivers down, deciding, you know what, I'm not going to bother with qualifying at this point. But Nexus put himself up in the 4th place on the soft tyres, and Crazy Legs is now retired. So that's where Ollie's gone off. He's at the bottom of the corner with no name just before it, and he's sideways with his wheel missing. So that's what's happened to Ollie. He's came out of that downhill left-hander after Lecombs at Brussels and in a corner with no name, and he's caught the curbing, I guess, and spun it and hit the wall hard. That's what's put Ollie out of the session. So another incident already round here. That's now we've seen Jack, we've seen Ollie, I've seen Yuzi running wide at Malmedy, and there's quite a few of them really pushing it. You mentioned about the McLaren and George Roberts as well, so there's a lot of drivers just pushing it maybe a bit too hard in qualifying and just finding the limits a bit too quickly.
And this is the thing now, you could really coast your way into this top 10. You really wouldn't have to push for a lap there, as Alan Kay using all the track and maybe a little bit more, coming very close to those tyre wall on the exit of Stabler there, as we now head towards Blanchimont, now towards the old bus stop chicane. Some people call it the bus stop chicane. Well, it's not really anymore, it's more of a chicane now. So Lighty then goes 142.6 towards the top of the table. Here comes Alan Kay then, as he now makes his way towards the line. What's the lap going to be? It's 146.7. That's going to put him into 7th place. Lots of support coming in. We've got Quantum there in the chat saying he wants to come up with, basically supporting Alan Kay tonight. We've got Traw in the chat there. T-Raw, Traw. That's a name that's familiar to me, Andy. He's got support there for Light E for pole position. Mays backing Mays for pole position. He's currently in 8th place right about now.
Need to come out of the pits first to be able to do that, come on. But yeah, no, it'd be interesting. I think now though, obviously Light E's committed now basically to the super sauce going that quick. Anyone else behind, you'd be best to try and put on the softs or the mediums now. You're going to be in the top 10 no matter what. All you need to do is finish or set a lap. So Plaster and Little Piece might want to get themselves out of pit lane before the last 5 minutes are finished, and it'll at least get round the lap. Even if they just end up coasting round, it'll at least get them in the top 10. Because at the moment, we know how this game works, Kieran. Ollie and Crazy, because they've actually set times, would still start in 9th and 10th if those two don't get out and do a lap at some point. But for now, you'd be better going out soft tyres even. You know, everyone else now has got an advantage if they can set a good lap on the soft and the mediums. They're going to leave Lighty possibly out there on his own in pole position running those tyres. But as I say that, I think Spike is just heading back out of the garage now on super soft. So as we were saying, maybe the drivers know something we don't, Kieran, but be interesting. But hopefully Plaster and Little Piece go out, because if not, they'll still be behind those cars that have crashed out already.
Yeah, absolutely, and they could try and argue that they'll get a fresh set of tyres. However, you'd start on 1 lap old soft or mediums. Is that really a penalty to pay at that point? I don't really think so. As long as you coast around, you really don't have to take anything out of the tyres, as you were saying, Andy, to get into the top 10. You might as well just go out there on a set of mediums and see what you can do.
Definitely. I mean, you know, there's nothing to lose now. You're going to be in the top 10 regardless, unless you feel you can start on those super softs and get away quick enough at the start of the race. Then you know, just take a slow lap round. Don't get in anyone's way. Boom, automatically top 10, and you've hardly taken any life out of the tyres. So it's a bit of a no-brainer for me at the moment. It would be to, if you want to go for a decent position, go with the soft tyres. Don't go to the super softs. Keep yourself options open for the race, and see what you can do. I've seen a number of drivers who have done super softs, gone for mediums, and tried to do like 15 laps or so on the medium tyres, get towards the end of the race, and end up with a puncture. So it's, you know, you might as well put yourself in the ideal position, as Graham's out of the session, Mays is out of the session as well, having not set a lap time, so he's not going to get his pole position he backed himself for. He probably went to the bookmakers and laid himself instead, because that's what the best thing to do there if you don't think you're going to win. But yeah, so we've only got, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, we've got 8 drivers that are still in this session, and only 4 of them, I believe, are out on a lap at the moment. And I think Little Piece has done exactly what I was saying there. He's out on a set of the medium tyres to get a lap in, knowing he doesn't really need to push it too hard, and he's going to be inside the top 10 in some description. So he's now in a really good place, in my opinion, for the race.
Absolutely, and he makes that last corner as wide as he possibly can to get the best exit on the run now, down towards the La Source hairpin. Heavy braking zone here. Got to watch the grass on the left-hand side. Can really unsettle the car. But Little Piece then hard on the throttle, using that back end. But again, this doesn't have to be a quick lap from Little Piece at all to get into this top 10. He's got 8th place at the moment, that's for sure. And he now makes his way over the hill, over Radion, and now down towards the Lacombe chicanes, all the way down the Kemmel Straight. As you can see there, the right, left, right, these curves really can help you as you head through here now. This right-hander here is very misleading. You want to carry as much speed as possible through it, but you've got the curve on the inside, which can easily, very easily, send you wide and into that gravel trap on the left-hand side. As you now head now down towards No Name, using that curve on the right-hand side. Try and aid your turn in now, heading now down towards Puon. And on the medium tyres, I'm expecting at least one gear to go down. Yep, down to 6th for a Little Piece as he now makes his way towards turn 12. And here we can see he'll use the curve. Yes, he will. And you want to try and get that tyre, or the right-hand side tyres, into the divot there, into turn 12, that is. It really helps steer the car in as Spike goes top 142.0. That is 6/10 quicker than Lighty in the Force India. Again on those super soft tyres, that might be a big call from Spike here, but I'm guessing he's out here to win this race as we now head towards Blanchimont, flying through now full throttle no matter what tyre you're on, as we head now up towards the chicane now. Where will he brake? Just before the 100-metre board, very tight chicane here as we head now around the final corner. Watch the traction on the exit as we now make our way towards the start finish line. What's the lap time going to be like for Little Piece? It's a 1:44.9, which puts him up to 6th place on a set of medium tyres. That's a very respectable lap time. And
that's what I was saying now. He's guaranteed to be in that top 6, 7, you know, 8th is the lowest he can be now with only Alan Kane plastered on track. So he's in a good position with the medium tyres to do well. I was on board with Spike for about, you know, the second half of his lap. That Mercedes looks absolutely hooked up going through some of the corners. I picked up the lap when he was coming through Pujon and through the rest of the lap, and just apex, 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 pretty much every time it looked like from the onboard. And that Mercedes looks pretty hooked up. Not surprised he's been able to go 6 times clear, and he's obviously thinking he's got the pace. Obviously with Jack Squeezy, whatever you want, we're going to call him Jack, but just so people know, obviously he's changed his name now, it is Squeezy. You know, with him being out of the session already with that crash on his first lap going up the hill of Eau Rouge and Radion, he now knows that he's probably his biggest challenger and the championship leader is towards the back of the pack, so he can try and stretch his legs out as much as possible in these early stages, really take advantage of the tyres that he's got, as Lighty's dropped out of the session. Not sure quite what's happened to him, but the checkered flag is now out, and Charlie is heading up to the chicane here to come across line. He's on super soft tyres as well, which is very interesting indeed. He set his best lap on soft so far. He goes up to 3rd place, so the top 3 at least will be starting on those super soft tyres. Only Nexus, Pursuit and a Little Piece are still on laps. Little Piece coming through now to complete a 2nd lap on the mediums, and he does improve up to 5th place, so there you go, an even better lap time 2nd time buying, now getting the temperature into those tyres, and he puts himself up in a really good position as well in 5th position. Last guy round then to complete a lap is Nexus Pursuit, back on the pad this week, having tried the controller. For me, that's a hard thing to do, is to go between the two different peripherals. Stick with one and learn it as best you can, but he's obviously fancying himself for some points here if he feels more comfortable on the pad. Coming through Blanchard, absolutely flat to the floor as you'd expect. Nearly out of ERS battery, but he's near the end of the lap now, so he doesn't need to worry too much. Into the chicane, he's going to be the last one over the line, currently in 6th place, super softs on. Can he improve on his lap time? It's going to be an improvement. Up to 4th place he went, so the top 4 are starting on super soft tyres. Sean starts in 5th on the soft tyres, and Little Piece in 6th on the medium tyres. We'll run through the order in just a moment's time.
Absolutely, an interesting qualifying session that Plaster didn't set a lap time in the end, so he will be starting down in 12th place. So we'll have to see what he does there. But in the meantime then, it is Spike on pole position, Lighty in 2nd, Charlie on his debut in 3rd place there, with Pursuit in 4th, Sean continuing his good form. He's on the soft tyres and in 5th place, Little Piece in 6th. Hoping to build on his 13 points so far this season. A very good return stint so far. He's starting on medium tyres. It's Alan Kay in 7th on Supersofts, Graham in 8th on Supersofts, and then we run down a huge order. It's Maze in 9th, Ollie 10th, Crazy Legs in 11th with Plaster 12th, Yuzi 13th, Jack 14th, George Roberts in 15th, 9th to 15th, not setting a lap time. And this is well, it's going to be very interesting with half the field not setting a lap time, Andy. It's going to be very interesting. Half the field making a mistake, crashing out. Let's hope they iron out those mistakes for the race.
Well, I mean, if you're going to do it, you might as well do it in qualifying rather than the race. So it's going to be interesting to see what tyres you go for. I have noticed it on the stream as well. Spike's just pointed out, you do sound a little bit quiet, my friend. So you maybe twist the dial or something. I know, it does. I'll be honest with that. Yeah, it does. Usually it's me having the problems where I sound like I'm beatboxing half the way through a stream, but there you go. But yeah, sound a little bit quiet at the moment there, but is he coming through the field, obviously? You said in the build-up, he's only been outside the podium twice this season. Last time out, wrong tyres in the DNF in the British Grand Prix, so we know how quick he's been this year, and he's obviously going to want to cement that as much as possible. But this is Spike's chance to try and gain some points back. You know, he's pretty up there at the the front end of the field as well in the points. Been trying to chase his teammate down. This is a chance for him to try and gain something back. All it takes is a couple of bad races, and you just never know what's going to happen in F1. Let's have a look at the tyres. We know the top 8 at least anyway, because they set the tyres they qualified on. Maze on the soft tyres in 9th, Ollie takes 10th on medium, Crazy Legs and Plaster both setting no time in the Ferrari there on the soft tyres. I did say if Plaster, he just needed to complete a lap of some description, he would have been up in 9th place, so I don't know if that's what's happened there, it's a bit strange to me. Uzi and Jack on the mediums, no surprise there, and George Roberts in the McLaren has gone for the soft tyres, so no surprises, those guys that didn't set a lap time not going with the softest compound. For me, this race, in terms of who takes it at the start, will be A, everybody getting away cleanly, and B, how quickly can Spike get away up front. If he can stretch his legs, get out of DRS very quickly, because obviously DRS, remember, not enabled until lap 3, if he can get out of DRS range pretty sharp and pull away at a steady rate while keeping those tyres in the delta range, we know Spike talks about that a lot, keeping them in the delta, keeping them in the operating range. If he can do that and stretch the stint, this is his race if he can make it work, but he's still a long way to go, 22 laps ahead of us, of course.
Absolutely. Now I'm just going to quickly just check all of my broadcast settings and see if I can adjust my microphone level. Let's just put it up a couple of clicks and let's see how that goes. Now I had to do that now because otherwise I would have cut Andy off completely there. So it would have been a blue screen. Now a couple of black boxes will appear before it is back to the action. I didn't want to cut you off there, Andy. Simple as.
I appreciate that, because I would have just carried on talking and not even realised it, because I've done that mistake myself. forgetting that, oh wait, I blue screened it. Only I can be heard and not cut anyone else off, so appreciate the kindness.
Oh, it's good to have you back, Andy. Here we are then for round 13 of season 13. It's been unlucky for some so far. And of course, TTL F1 is brought to you by weakwifi-solutions.com, who also sponsor the driver of the day. And it is also brought to you by A Logo, who also sponsor the fastest lap of the race award. 15 enter the Belgian Grand Prix, and we're going to quickly find out how many are going to finish it. 22 laps. We're going to be covering around about 154 kilometres tonight around this behemoth of a circuit. 7.004 kilometres, and the first Grand Prix all the way back in 1950 was a much more of a behemoth back then than it is now, but take nothing away from this absolutely legendary circuit. It's one of the jewels of the calendar. Everybody wants to win here, and Spike is on pole position to try and do that. Here we are then, counting up to the 5 red lights here at the Belgian Grand Prix. Round 13 is underway, and what are the starts like? Looks like Spike's got a good start. He's going to try and cover off the Force India straight away as we head now down towards the Source hairpin. Light D trying to go now up the inside. There is a little bit of contact between the two of them, but at the moment looks okay for now. You see Jack in the background there getting a little bit involved. That's Alan Kay who's around. He's actually got a puncture, front right puncture, and 7 kilometres with a puncture is going to be an absolute nightmare. Light Little Piece, sorry, running a little bit wide on the exit.
Oh! Plaster lost it up radio and he crashed into Jack. I don't know if that will have caused any damage to the Mercedes, but there is damage to that front wing of the Ferrari. Nearly took the championship leader out. Sorry to cut across you there, Kieran.
That's absolutely fine. As long as there's drama happening, I'm all for it. As we head now down towards Brussels, it's a 5-second stop-go penalty for Jack for corner cutting and gaining a place. Meanwhile, Charlie then has dropped back a little bit. He's starting, or he's in 4th place, I should say. Now ahead of Little Piece, who's had a great start. 6th place on a set of medium tyres. We've got Ollie as well, who's had a fantastic start. As we head towards Pouon now, it's Red Bull versus Toro Rosso. As Ollie there, brave enough to take that inside curb. You don't want to do that on too cold a tyre, as you will find quickly there is no grip as we now head towards turn 12 now. Up the inside he goes. And a little bit of contact made between himself and Little Piece here. Little bit of scrapping as Graham now tries to take advantage as we head now 3 wide almost in towards turn 14. As Little Piece there losing the car, a little bit of understeer as you now head through Stavolo through turn 15. And a little bit of a chaotic first lap here. Obviously Alan Kay will be feeling the brunt of it as Yuzi's now out of the race. Yuzi is out, and where is that? Is that Stavolo? Well, wherever it is.
He's done exactly what he'd done in qualifying. He's ran wide through Stavolo and completely binned it. That's the second time in 2 laps, because he only done 1 qualifying lap, and he's already out of the race. Pretty much a mirror repeat to what I caught there. But do expect a flurry of pit stops. Jack's got damage. Crazy Legs has got damage. We know Alan Kay's still limping back with that puncture as well. But it was Crazy Legs. I did say it was Plaster. It was Crazy, actually, who lost it going up the hill over radio and damaged his car. Nearly swiped out the championship leader, and that is what's brought the Mercedes into pit lane very early as well too. It looks like he had a 5-second penalty to take there because they weren't doing any work on the car for the moment, so insult to injury for Jack there. It's Spike nearly out of DRS range on Lighty after that initial challenge from the Force India. Those guys are pretty much 2 seconds clear of Nexus Pursuit, and 3rd place has made up a place. Charlie down 2 places from the start. Ollie's up 3 places, and George Roberts due to all the action behind between Jack, Crazy Legs and Alan Kay, who's finally back to pits now, and Uzi dropping out. He's up 4 places, having started at the back of the field, but he's already dropping off the back of Plaster, 2.5 seconds down, and he's now going to have the rest of those guys, and especially Jack in that Mercedes, chasing them down very, very quickly. That Mercedes has gone on to a set of medium tyres as expected, and Crazy has retired from the race. I'm going to jump on board with Alan Kay in a minute and see if I can see what happened to the Ferrari.
And we've got the Force Indias battling away now as Pursuit gets ahead of Light E, as there's also yellow flags out, and that is George Roberts. As we see, let's ride on board with Jack and see where that incident is. Jack looks like he's losing the back end a lot now, coming into No Name, now down the hill towards Pouon. And are we going to see a stricken McLaren anywhere? Now, of course, Jack had to make a pit stop, so he is quite a way behind. And that is where the green flag showing there, bits of debris on the track. So I guess we'll never know how, but Lighty into the pits on lap number 3. I wonder if there is damage to the left-hand side of that front wing. Didn't get a chance to see it. Ollie, meanwhile, trying to go now down the inside in towards the source and trying to get ahead of Little Piece. Little Piece simply says, I'll take the cutback. And now they're going to run side by side, are they? Down towards Eau Rouge, as we see now side by side. And Ollie brave enough to back out there. No Mark Webber, Fernando Alonso antics this time around as we head through Radion. And now along the Kemmel Straight into the DRS zone now. DRS, of course, is active. And Ollie now takes the left-hand side line down towards the Kemmel Straight. And now down towards Les Combes in that right, left, right complex. And Ollie has made the move stick. The man from Jersey up to 5th place. Mays then finding a way past Graham, using that DRS down the Kemmel Straight. And you'll see now, those who have managed to keep within a second of the car ahead will be thinking the Kemmel Straight is my best option.
Definitely so. There was damage to Lighty's car. He did end up with a wing change in that pit stop. He's rejoined in 10th place on the medium tyres. He's got 9 seconds before he's got the Mercedes of Jack coming up behind him, so he's got a bit of time in hand at the moment. Mays used the DRS pretty much the exact same as what Ollie did, just pulled to the inside, drifted on past under DRS, easy move. And it looks like even on the harder tyres at the moment that he is getting a much better grip in that Renault than the super softs on the Salvo behind, so he's already out of DRS range as well to avoid getting attacked again back up. We're already down 3 drivers. I didn't see Crazy's car when I was on board with Alan Kay, but there was yellow flags around Eau Rouge and Radion, so I think we can take a wild guess at probably what's happened there. And the other one with George Roberts, it was somewhere around Pouhon, didn't quite catch it. Alan Kay's retired from the session as well, so I'm not sure what's going on there with the Irishman, but that's not normally something that we see from him, but he's now out of the race and we're down to 11 drivers. Here comes Ollie though, on the back of Charlie, coming into the last source hairpin. Hardest compound tyre on the Red Bull, soft compound on the Salvo, but DRS helped there for the Red Bull, and that's Ollie now up to 4th place. Charlie's now got to defend against Little Piece coming up behind him again. Another driver on the medium compound. You just got to start to wonder, are the super softs starting to give up a little bit on some of these cars that are running them ahead? Spike won't be too fussed about it at the moment. He's got a 6-second gap over Sean now, who's just sneaked by Nexus Pursuit into Le Combes there and takes over 2nd place. And remember, the Haas driver on the soft compound tyre, so he's going to be running longer than Nexus Pursuit. And you can see Ollie, Charlie and Little Piece have closed right up behind very, very quickly. So that's 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th and 6th place, all pretty much within the one camera shot as they come through No Name and come charging down towards Pouhon on lap 4 of 22.
Yeah, it was a move there, easily done for Sean as Pursuit actually runs wide on the exit of Pouhon there, and he's lost the back end. He rejoins the circuit. Whoa, very close there, so close to being collected by one of the cars behind. And I don't know whether Pursuit has maybe a little bit of damage. He backed off majorly there, but it seems to be now back onto the pace as the Renault there of Mays rather lets Pursuit back through. So Pursuit now back up to 6th place. Not seeing any damage on that car, but those tyres might just be a little bit shot after that half spin there.
Yeah, that was nearly a huge moment the way he collected it and it then spat him back across the track at the exit of Pouhon. You're doing around about 170 odd miles an hour at that point, so he's very lucky. Well done to the guys behind. I think it was Charlie that came the closest to hitting him coming through there, but these tyres will be had enough now. They'll be flat spotted like anything, and that is Nexus into the pits there. I think Mays was maybe just a bit caught out there with the move, the fact that the Force India was off the track, and maybe just caught him out slightly, who knows. But he's now got Graham over the back of him. Meanwhile, a bit further ahead, we've got Ollie trying to chase down Sean now, which is over the podium positions, and Little Piece is right on the back of Charlie coming along the Kemmel Straight. DRS for the Toro Rosso. That is a slam dunk if you've ever seen one. That should be an easy move through for the Toro Rosso, and indeed it is. And in fact, Charlie's managed to lock up a little bit into Le Combes there. That will give Little Piece a chance. So got to come back now to Ollie, who is motoring his way through this field. He's now up to 3rd place, having started down the field. He's gained 7 places so far in this race, and those medium tyres, like we were discussing in qualifying, Kieran, they do seem to be the much better race tyre at the moment. Sean's on the other one, which is going to be working as a good race tyre, so this is going to be an interesting scrap. But Ollie has really started to find some pace since I was last seeing him in TTL at the end of season 12. He's got some really good results previously as well, so he's really starting to come on form. is the Red Bull driver, and he is eyeing up second place, a long run into this race, and see what he can do, because you never know. Spike's got 7.5 seconds at the moment, but anything can happen, and if Ollie can dispatch Sean quick enough here and pull a little bit of a gap to get out of DRS, you just never know what could happen later on in the race. But here comes Ollie up to the bus stop. Sean goes defensive. The switch back there from Ollie up the inside. Sean sees it coming. A little bit of a bump on the inside. Sean sneaks back through the second part of the bus stop. A little switch back there nearly worked nicely, but good driving there. A little bit of a bump. I wouldn't say that was too much untoward. It's just one of those things that happen. And now Ollie's going to try the run down towards Eau Rouge. His best chance is just to stay in the slipstream of that Haas going up the hill, try not to lose it over the top of the crest and use the DRS, and this should be pretty easy from the Red Bull. They're going flying over the crest, DRS wide open now for the Red Bull, and he's made the move almost before they got onto the Kemmel straight, giving him a wee bit of a squeeze there to Sean, who seems to have good top line speed there despite the DRS, but Ollie is finally through and up into second place. Now we'll see if he can pull away from that Haas and make any inroads to the lead of Spike up ahead.
Absolutely, it just seemed like a little bit of a squeeze there, saying, I know what you're doing, but I won't make this too easy for you. Still a bit of respect between the drivers, that's for sure, as it looked like there that the team may have overdone the tyres on Alan Kay's car, and that is what happened. The front left just simply let go on the start-finish line. No contact with anybody, just completely on its own. So that is such a shame for Alan Kay. Not sure what happened to his car at the end of the day. Maybe he just thought he's fed up with it. But we saw there just slightly off screen, just caught the end of it. Jack getting away past pursuit then. And of course Jack was involved in that first lap chaos. Had to pit in for a new front wing. But his teammate at the moment, Spike, is leading this one. Lap number 6 as we head towards the chicane. In the final 2 corners, Spike is leading the race, and race leader comes into the pit lane. And this looks like could be a move onto some medium tyres as he comes into the pit lane. Now, what will he do? Obviously, Spike will know that he's got to make this pit stop count on go a set of medium tyres. So that looks like it's going to try and get him to the end of the race. So where Spike will be on some medium tyres, Ollie, probably when he comes to his pit stop, will go onto a set of soft tyres. He won't be going anywhere near those super soft tyres, as we were discussing earlier in qualifying, as Spike now rejoins after turn 1, of course, as he makes his way now down towards Eau Rouge. And of course you do have a slight worse run than anybody who's just taken Lassour's hairpin, but as you can see there, Spike rejoins comfortably in 4th place. Got to be careful on those tyres now as they begin to warm up and get some rubber and flexibility back into them.
Definitely so, and I think it was a good time there for Spike to pit, as I'm just watching here as Lighty sneaks by Charlie before Eau Rouge there. Charlie just out of pit lane, and as you just mentioned, didn't quite get the run out of the pit lane obviously compared to Lighty, so an easy move there. But I think it was a good time for Spike to come into the pits there, because just after Ollie had got that move done on Sean, the gap was about 7.9, and by the time Spike pitted there at the end of the lap, Ollie had already taken about 7/10 out of his lead already. So those super softs were obviously on their way out. Big moment there from Jack coming out of the end of Lacombs there. He's getting a massive tail slapper on there. He is right behind Charlie, but if he had stayed out another lap, Ollie would have really eaten into that lead. So he's timed that really nicely, as Charlie off the track there bumps Jack as he comes back on into Pujon. Some carbon fibre went flying. Not sure whose car that's going to have been from. Doesn't look like it's from the Mercedes. It might be from the Salba, who knows, but that is another move for the championship leader back into the 8th place now, having had that incident early doors. But Spike's timed it well there. Another lap, and I think those tyres would have really gave him trouble, and he would have lost around about a second or so to Ollie. So he's timed that very nicely, came out of some clean air. He's got 8 seconds to the car ahead, and he's got 2 and a bit seconds to the car behind. So he's got some clean air. He can concentrate on just pumping in the laps, keeping the tyres in the delta, keeping them in the range, hitting the apexes, and just keeping this gap that he needs as much as possible. The gap to the leader is 12 seconds at the moment, so that's easily going to put him back in the lead of the race at this point in time. Meanwhile, Nexus Pursuit goes round the outside into the bus stop chicane on Charlie, who's going backwards at a very quick rate of knots, and Jack is into the pits for his 2nd stop. So I think the championship leader picked up some damage in that incident with Charlie, and it is another front wing nose change for the Mercedes. Now onto the medium tyres, and he's going to have to fight his way back through the field one more time. Puts him outside the points, 11th and last on the road, He only needs to gain 1 place to get back in the points, but that's 2 pit stops for your championship leaders and 2 wing changes for him as well.
Absolutely, and just on the exit of No Name there, it just looked like Charlie ran wide, tapped the wall, which then sent him straight back onto the circuit. Here he is trying to go now around the outside of Lecom, trying to get away past Pursuit. Pursuit tries to shut the door and does so successfully and keeps a hold of 8th place. Yeah, no intent whatsoever from Charlie there. He just overcooked the entrance into the corner, a load of understeer, put him into the wall, and then the collision there just sent him catapulting back across in towards Jack there. So maybe overdriving the car slightly. As you can see, they're running very wide once again. You can see where that wall really comes really close to the circuit. Alan Kay is just correcting me in the chat there. He was saying that he started with a front right puncture because, Andy, I need my eyes tested. It was a front right puncture for Alan Kay, and the reason for his retirement was cold mediums, Upper Rouge and Radeon. So an easy mistake to make when you're going on to medium tyres. You think the grip's there, but then you realise the tyre temperatures aren't, and the back end just swaps on you.
Yeah, definitely so, and especially if we look at the, there's not much sunshine either, so it's quite cloudy despite it being dry, so that'll be having an effect on track temperature as well. But just out of the pits on cold tyres, they've been in the tyre blankets, but still, easy thing to do. It's happened to a lot of us. I've done it plenty of times myself, which I gave up trying, and Alan's the first, and he won't be able to do that at any point. We might not have been on stream, but everybody's done that at some point. Plaster is car in and out the pits. He's on the medium tyres now, and he's about to drop down to 10th place, but he's having made his second stop now at 11th, and I'm going to keep an eye on his progress as we go along, because we know how quick he is, obviously, but he's got a lot of ground to make up just to get anywhere. He's 54 seconds off the lead. I know he's probably not going to be aiming for that now, but even to get to around about 6th place, which is where Lighty is at the moment, and he has pitted, remember as well, he's talking around about 30 plus seconds at pit stop, so he's got a long way to go. He has got the fastest lap of the race, so he will be picking that up at the moment with a 146.2, and that is easily, apart from Spikes, the closest to him, 3 times down. Everyone else is in the 46, and the Mercedes really flexing the muscle around here, but a couple of incidents has cost Jack a lot of time, and that's why he's down the back of the field. Meanwhile, Graham trying to have a go at the back of Plaster, who's just out of the pits on those. He's not going to have to look up the inside into pool on us, but he has to back out of that. And that was going to be very brave trying that one, or possibly stupidity. Plaster running wide. I wonder if there's a little bit of a lag bubble that just popped him wide possibly, but that has put Graham through and up into 9th place as Sean comes into pits in the half to get rid of those soft tyres. So lap 10 to 22, and he's had enough frame, and on go the white stripe medium tyres. No surprises to see that there. He should rejoin in front of it. He'll rejoin in 4th place, because behind him pit lane is Made getting rid of his soft tyres as well onto a set of the medium compound as well. So back out behind Light, but Sean rejoins in 4th place, and that's not too bad. He's only lost the 2 places there from second. Little Piece and Spike, but obviously Little Piece is still at pit, and Spike did pit earlier on, having a 7 odd second lead before making his pit stop. So no surprises there. Still on for some, even a podium here at the moment. It's not face still a good way out.
Hopefully everything's okay on your end, Andy. You're breaking up just very slightly. But we saw Plaster there battling away with Graham. Plaster originally rejoined ahead of Graham in the pit stops, and now they're on a really good battle between the two of them. Meanwhile, Charlie has found a way past Maze on the Kemmel Straight with the help of DRS, jumping back on board with the battle for P9 as Plaster now trying to go around the outside. Graham's got the inside, a little bit of contact between the two of them there, no damage done, and they live to fight another day. Plaster then in 9th, Graham back down towards 10th place, and it'll be interesting to see how long Ollie can make those tyres last. We're expecting him to go well past lap 12, maybe lap 13. Obviously these soft tyres can go quite a distance into this race, but you wouldn't want to test them, as every single driver at this moment in time is on a set of medium tyres. So that's quite a spectacle to see. Not often do you see all of the drivers on the same tyre at this point in the race.
No, definitely not, unless of course it's a wet race. Obviously it's the only time you normally see that, so it just shows you though that with here at this track, the softs and the mediums are the more preferred race tyre. So it is definitely something. It's not much a surprise, but it is still weird to see it. Closest battle on track is still Plaster and Graham as they're fighting over 9th and 10th coming through Blanchimont. Sounds like I'm okay at the moment now, so that's because Charlie's retired up ahead somewhere as Graham looks up the inside into the bus stop. What has happened to Charlie? He's crashed coming into pit lane is what's happened to Charlie. He's in pit lane, stuck there on the entry to pit lane, and that is him out of the race. And if you look behind there as Graham tries up the inside into last source, who is at the back of these guys? It is Jack in that Mercedes. The championship leader is right there. Meanwhile, Plaster and Graham are coming down to Eau Rouge side by side. This isn't going to end well, surely. Oh, where are we? Plaster has to go very wide there over the top of the hill, and he stays out of the way because he knows Jack's there in the background. In fact, Jack actually backed out of that one there. He's now going to have the run on the Mercedes. Graham really put the decision in the Ferrari driver's hands there. Follow me through at your peril. He had the inside line for the second part, and Plaster backed out of it, and he's now lost 2 places over that. But Charlie out of the race now. Crash coming into pit lane. I was just about to say though that the issue with the microphone, it's actually, as I was saying to you beforehand, but I want to let the viewers know because it has been something we've known about for a while. It's not actually my microphone, it's my connection. I tried a race elsewhere last week, brand new microphone, and it's still done the same thing. So I've got a new hub from our internet supplier. It's holding up not too bad apart from that little break up there, and I'm hoping it will make the difference. But if you do spot any other ones, please let me know in the chat as Jack sneaks by on Graham out of Puhon and into the chicane towards the end of Sector 2. Little Piece is into pit lane, so that puts Spike up in 3rd place, and that's no doubt going to allow Sean, you'd imagine, to sneak through into 3rd place. So Spike goes up to 2nd, sorry. And no, Sean's actually came out behind, so Little Piece has got the overcut there. Sean pitting earlier, Little Piece pitting later, and the Toro Rosso actually stays ahead at the moment. But Sean's got 2 lap tyres that have heated up to temperature, and Little Piece has got to get those softs up to temp very, very quickly indeed, or he's going to have a Haas all over the back of him very shortly.
So he's got the advantage of DRS as well to keep him in touch, and you can see he's closing that gap. And as you say, Little Piece has to warm up those tyres. Of course, you do have the benefits of tyre blankets, but as soon as you take them off and change them onto the car, the temperature keeps going down and down, and you're not really warming them up as you go down towards the pit lane exit. And the first thing you're faced with, well, is Eau Rouge. So how how's your bravery going through there as the first call you meet to properly warm up the tyres? As you can see there, the Toro Rosso Little Piece running slightly wide on the exit of Puon there. And Andy, you're exactly right there. Charlie hitting the wall in the pit lane. I won't repeat what Charlie said, but to paraphrase it, he felt like an idiot, and he said it could be a really good race.
Yeah, these kind of things happen. He's even just said there, he just touched it, the wheel came off, and that's the thing with it, you know, the damage model. Sometimes you can tap it and get away with it, and sometimes it'll just rip the suspension right off. Meanwhile, race leader Ollie is into pit lane, so that is going to release Spike back into the lead of this race. It'll be interesting to see what the gap is once Ollie rejoins. It's 6.2 seconds by the looks of it. Let's just see when he drops out of pit lane and see he's now exiting pit lane. So he's in 2nd, and I want to see what this gap is, because before Spike pitted it was 7.2, and look at that. It's still about 7.2, so it's pretty much as you were, but Ollie's now got a nice gap to the drivers behind, and he's got a gap to Spike ahead. He can concentrate on that softer compound, on what he's going to do, and that's going to be at the end of this race. Very interesting indeed. We're beyond half distance now at the Belgium Grand Prix here for TTL F1 Season 13, and Spike, who leads at the moment, he's got 7 and a bit seconds over Ollie, who's just came out of pit lane, having started outside the top 10. He has made up 8 places in this race. The other big gainer is Jack in 8th place, which is squeezy for those who haven't been here before. Earlier on, he had 2 incidents that made him have to make pit stops. One on the first lap where he nearly got swiped by Crazy Legs going up over Radion as the Ferrari driver lost it, and then another one with I think it was Charlie or Graham, I can't remember, it was one of the Salvas just catching him out of no name before Pujon cost him 2 pit stops. So obviously he's changed his name with a new PSN bit, so that is your championship leader in 8th place. But keep an eye on that gap between Ollie and Spike, 7.4 at the moment. Spike's no doubt been running the car to Delta as he usually does, keeping the tyres in the window, keeping them as fresh as possible, and he's managed to peg that gap exactly as it was before he pitted earlier on from the Supersofts. But come the end of this race, he's going to have done a lot of laps on those medium tyres, and Ollie might be in a good place as Spike's just locked up going into La Source there. He won't want to be doing that too much if he wants these to last to the end of the race. Lap 14 at 22. We've got 10 runners, so everybody scores points as long as you finish the race. And little piece now with those softs up to temperature, out of DRS range on Sean, and fastest lap of the race at the moment as well.
Absolutely, it could be a fantastic podium for the Toro Rosso driver. He just has to keep it all together, as everybody has made at least one scheduled stop in this race. Spike is your race leader, 6.8 seconds ahead of Ollie as he makes his way through Les Combes. Little Piece is in 3rd place with Sean there in 4th. Lighty there is in 5th with his teammate Pursuit in 6th. Maze there currently running in 7th place. Championship leader Jack down in 8th place at the moment. Graham is in 9th place, and Plaster rounds out the top 10 at the moment. From this race we've lost Charlie, Alan Kay, George Roberts, Crazy Legs and Yuzi, and I think half of those were within the first 3 laps of the race.
Yeah, definitely. So Uzi dropped it coming out of Stavolo towards the end of the lap, exactly what he done in qualifying, but a lot wider off the track, so I don't know if it spat him one side and into the other like a pinball. Crazy Legs, not too sure what happened. I think we've seen his car at the bottom of Pujon somewhere. The yellow flags, couldn't quite see what happened to him. George Roberts, you said you seen a McLaren around Eau Rouge and Radion. No prizes for guessing what happened to that. Alan Kay's already told us in the chat that his was at Radion as well, in Eau Rouge on cold tyres after getting a puncture straight off the grid with a particular game issue. And Charlie crashing into pit lane, feeling a bit stupid, as he mentioned in the chat. But those sort of things can happen, and as I say, you can easily just tap that and get away with it. And on this occasion, he didn't. Ollie 1:45.318. So A logo fastest lap of the race goes to the Red Bull driver at the moment, and that gap, after only 2 laps, is already down to 5.4 seconds. You could just there on my screen just seen Spike heading up Eau Rouge in the same camera shot as Ollie there, so that Red Bull is closing in at a rapid rate of knots. It's going to be a question though, does he burn these tyres out too quickly, meaning he can't attack in the later stages of the race? Spike could play a tactical masterstroke, keeping those tyres in check. Not long to go though, and it'll be interesting to see who picks up the Driver of the Day award as well. That'll be an interesting one. Quite a few contenders already. Ollie's certainly one of them coming through the field. Spike for running the race pretty well and managing the tyres well could be another one, but there's a few good shouts out there for sure who could be driver of the race. Who would you fancy your money on at the moment, Kieran, if you had to pick?
It's going to be tough. I mean, Spike could be on his way to his first race win of the season. Of course, we've got 7.5 laps to go, and you know, at a 7-kilometre track like this, you've just got to keep it all together. I've been really impressed with Little Piece so far. 3rd place at the moment on a set of soft tyres, looking really good to the end of this race. Good gap to the car behind, a 10-second gap to the car ahead. A little bit of a race of his own at the moment, but yeah, Little Piece. 13 points so far this season, I believe, over 3 or 4 races. He could get a good 15 today alone. And yeah, really good race from him so far. And Ollie as well. Well, he has started from the back. Obviously, crashed out during qualifying. And I always am hesitant to give Driver of the Day awards to someone who crashes out in qualifying. However, Ollie's bounced right back up into 2nd place. He's got to be a strong contender for it.
Definitely so. Bounce back ability, I think, is what they call it. Make a mistake and come back strong, and he is doing exactly that at the moment, having made up 8 places during the race, and that gap's coming down even more once again. 3.6 seconds now as he comes flying over the top of Radion at over 190. He's going to be able to see that Mercedes just in the distance as a small speck. As it goes into Les Combes, if you're on board, you can just about see Spike up ahead. But this Red Bull is flying along at the moment, and it looks like if you can keep the tyres, he might just be catching up within the next lap or 2. He is really motoring along just now, and that gap has flew down. Only pitted 3 laps ago. This is his 4th lap, having come out of pit lane, and that gap when he came out was 7.5 seconds. It's now 3 seconds. He's found 4.5 seconds already in the space of 3.5 laps. He is absolutely flying at the moment. And that first race victory for Spike, if this carries on at this pace and he can find a way by, might need to go on a little bit longer. He is now right within shot. You're nearly catching them in the same camera shot on most of the long cameras, and it's coming into Almaday there, and you can just see again Spike just sneaking through the screen as Ollie comes through the right-hander, and he's down to 2.5 seconds. He's going to be in the back of that Mercedes within the next lap and a half. It's going to get interesting.
Absolutely, and the Red Bull now just needs to keep his composure, because whilst he has the tyre performance now, you sort of come across that crossover point where the tyres are pretty much the same pace. Although from that point onwards, Ollie's tyres will get worse and worse at a much faster rate than Spike's will. Lap 17 of this Grand Prix, and Ollie, A-Lo go fastest lap of the race so far, 1:45.3, as Sean picks up a 3-second time penalty. Now he's got to be wary of that one, because Lighty's only 1.9 behind him.
Yeah, he needs to be an eye out on that, but just to show you how much Ollie's taken out, that 45.3 that he's just done, fastest lap of the race. Spike's last lap was a 46.9. That's 1.5 seconds, well, just over that actually. So he's really reeling in the leader at a vast rate of knots. I'd say obviously Sean needs to be careful, because he's going to lose 4th place at the moment with that penalty. I'm going to have a wee look at the penalty situation at a moment to see. We've not seen too many pop up, which is good to see. Usually we do see quite a few at certain tracks, no names given for all the Herman Tilke tracks, but that's usually where we see them. But I'm going to have a wee look at that, but at the moment Sean would lose 4th place because of his penalty. I'm not sure if Lighty's got any, but now look at this, Ollie through Poolhorn, much better grip, doesn't even use the full width for the track there, and he's now within DRS range as Graham comes into pit lane and picks up a penalty for his troubles as well. That's 17 of 22, and we've now got a battle for the lead.
Absolutely, and once Spike crosses that line, we will have 5 laps to go, and 1 second now is the gap between Spike and Ollie. Graham, by the way, who's coming to the pits now on a set of super soft tyres. That's interesting. He's got 5 laps. Yeah, I could see that happening. You could get those tyres to the end, but only just. Meanwhile, Lighty is closing up on Sean as well. 1.4 is the gap. We'll try and keep an eye on that as best we can. But here is a battle for the lead. Mercedes versus Red Bull right about now, as Spike looking for his first race win of the season. Ollie's looking for his 3rd, and back-to-back wins as well. And look at this now, 0.7 of a second with 5 laps to go. This could be a move for the lead of the race very, very shortly. Of course, Ollie now, as we head through Eau Rouge, and now up Radion, using that curve on the left-hand side as well. He's within DRS range now. He can definitely use this to his advantage. He may not be able to make a move through Les Combes right about now, but he can certainly get really, really close as well. Watch out as well for the Force India of Lighty, closing up on Sean. 0.8 of a second, the gap. And remember, Lighty is on 15-lap-old medium tyres. Sean is on 8-lap-old medium. So where Lighty's finding this pace, it's absolutely incredible.
That's some phenomenal pace in 15-lap-old tyres. I did notice one thing. I'll go through this, the penalties that people have picked up in a moment properly. However, Spike actually has a 3-second time penalty. I wonder if Ollie knows this, and if Spike's just, you know what, 2nd place is going to be good enough. He's hoping maybe Ollie drops off a cliff somewhere, but Spike at the moment, although he's ahead on the road, he's technically behind Ollie because of that time penalty. Ollie I don't think has any at all in this race. I know that Jack's picked up I think 6 seconds worth, Sean's picked up 3 seconds. Lighty I think does have a penalty, so that's not going to be any use at the moment, but I'll go through it properly in a minute. We'll keep an eye on the action on track, because Ollie is right behind as they come flying up towards Blanchimont at over 197 miles an hour through the apex, absolutely foot flat to the firewall up to the bus stop chicane for the 18th time. And look at the braking difference there. That Red Bull's got much better grip, braking much later than the Mercedes, and I think we're going to see a move coming over the top of Radion and up towards Les Combes, this time by a lap. 19 of 22, and I think we're about to see the move for the win here at the Belgium Grand Prix. Here we go down the hill, the plunge towards Eau Rouge. There's a lap car ahead, far enough out of the way. On board I am with Ollie, up over the rise of the crest, over Radion, right in the slipstream of the Mercedes. DRS is coming very shortly. He's got the battery turned up as well. This should be pretty easy. Spike goes to the inside line, he comes back across. It's not going to be as easy as I thought it was going to be, side by side into Le Combs, and Ollie's now got the inside line for the second part, but Spike hangs it out round the outside. Really good defensive driving from the Mercedes driver. He's trying to squeeze him coming down the hill to Brussels, locks the brake up into the right hander, and what can Ollie do? He's going to have to play it patient. He probably knows from his race engineer that Spike's got a 3-second penalty. He doesn't need to push it too hard at this point, but a racing driver is a racing driver, and you always want to do the best. Just look at Valtteri Bottas in Australia. We don't need the fastest lap, yeah, but I want that point. Ollie will want to win this one on the track. Does a switcheroo into the chicane out of Pujon, but again, Spike's got the outside line. Good defensive driving from the Mercedes driver. He's positioning his car just where he needs to be at the moment, and that Red Bull is finding himself behind the widest Mercedes on the track as he come up to Blanchimont for another time. That Ferrari ahead is plastered. He's getting ever closer. Lightpiece is off the track as well at Pujon. He's had a massive spin. He's dropped down to 5th place, so that podium now up in the air, but back to the front, and Ollie not close enough for a go into the bus stop chicane, so Spike holds the lead for now. You've got to think it's a matter of when rather than if.
Absolutely, but remember, these two battling at the Hungaroring last time out. Ollie left it until the very last lap. He knows to be patient with these sorts of things as we head towards La Source for the 20th time. We have 3 laps to go. That is the Ferrari of Plaster up ahead, and Spike may be able to have DRS as Ollie just slightly taps the wall there on the entry in towards managing to hold on to that car through the Radion section there. But here we go then. Spike having the slipstream here. It's looking like 3 wide as we head now down towards Les Combes. The Ferrari backs out of it straight away. Ollie here has the inside line. Does he get the move done? Spike might try and go up the inside. Not enough grip for him to do so. Ollie dips a wheel onto the gravel there, but he takes the lead of the Belgian Grand Prix on lap number 20. And once again, Spike here loses out on a chance of a race victory. Not only yet, of course, as Ollie now, his tyres may start to go downhill. But I'm surprised there, Spike didn't get that DRS from Plaster ahead. Maybe the gap was so fine then. Maybe a couple of hundredths over a second. But that's the difference now, and Spike now finds himself in 2nd place.
Yeah, no, it's a good driving there again. 3 wide up to Le Combes. I was having flashbacks to Hakkinen and Schumacher passing the back marker of Ricardo Zonta. I think it was 2000, was it? Yeah, 2000 Belgium Grand Prix. Cut the laps to go in that race, and it was nearly a mirror repeat almost. But Ollie through into the lead of the race, and he's nearly out of DRS range as well already. Meanwhile, further back, Spike's teammate Jack Sweezy has made his way up to 6th place ahead of Nexus Pursuit in 7th, having got by up towards Les Combes as well. So that's another move for the Mercedes driver with a little bit of damage limitation for the championship leader. He's got 14 seconds to Little Piece, so going to be a bit of a gap. Little Piece lost it through Pujon. I didn't catch it, I just seen him coming back on track, but that's thrown away what looked like being a possible podium for the Toro Rosso driver. Sean might have got himself a reprieve, but Lighty, 17-lap-old mediums, is still within a second of him. I'm going to now take a proper look through the penalties now that everything's calmed down a little bit. So let's have a look from top to bottom. Let's go through this real quickly and see who's who. So Little Piece has actually got himself a penalty. Let's see. In fact, come back to me. I'll check this one out. Give me a minute.
With pleasure. Well, Ollie leading then on the penultimate lap of the Belgian Grand Prix with Spike in 2nd. There's Sean then going through your picture. He's currently in 3rd place with Light E on 18-lap-old medium tyres. He has taken those tyres such a long way at this moment in time, and it's almost, if I can get my maths right, he'll have almost covered 140 kilometres on those tyres. So he's done amazingly well to do that. And yeah, the current runner out there on the medium tyres, the oldest tyres out there at the moment. And you can see now Sean is 20.7 behind Spike. Lighty 2 seconds now behind Sean. And how long will Lighty's tyres last now, as Little Piece is still closing up on Lighty? This battle's not over yet as we now fly through Puon with the Toro Rosso driver as we now head down the hill towards turn 12 and 13. And where is Ollie out the circuit? He's now coming towards the final chicane for the penultimate time. And he'll be hoping out that those tyres last to the end of the race now, which is only 1 lap away. Ollie, the man from Jersey, starts the final lap of the race in the lead. And can he finish it in the lead as well for what could be his 3rd race of the season? Alan in the chat there being very cheeky. Kieran and Matt, someone check that quick. Thanks, Alan. Thanks for showing some faith in me. I know the Esports Cup was difficult for me, adding 25 and 18 together, but come on.
That's now going to be the equivalent of Stefan's 9-stopper at Monaco, by the way, Steph. Sorry. But looking through the penalties, Little Piece has actually got himself 2 3-second time penalties. Jack's got 1. Plaster, I think, has got 2. Yeah, Plaster's got 2, Sean's got 1, so there's still possibility for chopping and changing here before they cross the finish line. In fact, Plaster's got himself 9 seconds worth of penalties, but he's at the back. So 3rd, 4th and 5th could still change here with penalties, because Little Piece has got 6 seconds worth. I didn't catch Lighty, I don't think he's got any, so he's possibly going to be the biggest gainer out of this, because Sean's got 3 seconds up ahead. Spike's got 3 seconds, but he's well out of range of everybody else, so keep an eye on those standings before the end, because they could still chop and change like a fruit machine in a pub on a Friday night. And it's going to be interesting to see who finishes where, but it's pretty known that Ollie, coming up towards Blanchimont, he's going to be the race victor unless something absolutely horrendously catastrophic happens coming through Blanchimont.
Absolutely, as he now makes his way through Blanchimont and towards the final chicane, as we see Little Piece and Lighty battling away. We'll come to that in a minute as Lighty's retired from the session. We'll get to that shortly as we head through the chicane for the final time. The man from Jersey, Ollie, will take back-to-back wins. He wins the Belgian Grand Prix with the fastest lap of the race too. That's a sensational win for him and Red Bull. It's his 3rd race win of the season. Spike comes across the line in 2nd place for what is another podium for himself, but I wonder how frustrated he will be on that one. Sean, meanwhile, is going to come across the line. He'll finish on track in 3rd place. We'll have to see. Little Piece on a charge behind. Here comes Sean towards the line. He'll weave his way across the line. Will he get his 2nd podium of the season? Yes, he will. Sean then, 2nd podium of the season. The last one came at Monaco. This time around, it's Belgium. Little Piece then finishing in 4th as Jack then championship leader. A real recovery drive, and he will come across the line to finish in 5th place then for the Mercedes team. Pursuit then will come across the line in 6th place, and that's a good result for the Force India team. Lighty, though, retiring from the race. Be interested to see what that was all about. Mays then, that means he'll come across the line in 7th place in the Renault, and at the sole Renault finisher today, 7th place for himself. And Graham is out there still, making his way through Stavlo just about now. And Graham here, if he makes it to the line, is going to score 4 points for himself and for Sauber. And Sauber right now need all those points at this time. They find themselves at the bottom of the standings. Any points are good points right about now, and especially with their rivals at Ferrari. If anything to talk about, these points will be crucial for them. So Graham then making his way around the chicane for the final time. He will finish in 8th place and last of the lead lap cars. But your winner and the winner of the Belgian Grand Prix, it is his 3rd race win of the season. Ollie wins in Belgium.
Yeah, phenomenal race there from Ollie. Made up from the mistake that he done in qualifying, crashing out, and fights his way through the field, running the longer strategy of the medium tyres, making it work. Spike will be gutted, but still good points for him. He'll gain a few points on his championship rival and teammate Jack. Good recovery from Jack as well, though, up to P5, taking advantage of the racy attrition as well to gain the points. That bit with Lighty last lap, coming out of Pujon, he was on the left hand side on the grass, and I've just seen from the PSN chat, puncture. So Force India picked up a puncture. Now, we did mention how long he had been on those tyres for, Kieran. So he's picked up a puncture on the last lap, and it's cost him a possible podium because he had no penalties. So it's just absolutely heart-wrenching as well.
Absolutely, and it was more than 150 kilometres he would have covered on those tyres. And on the last lap, they must have just said, no, not anymore. And, well, only a couple of more kilometres it had to make it, but it was a couple of kilometres too many. And that is a sad end for Lighty, but at least he had a fun time. What a race. Standings then for your official, unofficial results. Ollie takes his 3rd race win of the season. Spike in 2nd place. Sean taking his 2nd podium of the season. Little Piece then in 4th place, saying he, in his words, bottled it. Jack then in 5th, championship leader, recovering to score 10 points. Pursuit in 6th. Mays in 7th with Graham in 8th. Lighty 9th. He will not score any points though because he did not finish the race. And Plas then rounding off the top 10 with those 5 retirements at the end or at the beginning of the race, I should say.
Yeah, definitely. So puncture though at the end. That's just it's just so unfortunate because with the penalties that would have been a podium for Lighty, and I think considering how far he had got those tyres, but I would say that would have been deserved as well. But those are the way things happen sometimes, and just the way the cookie crumbles, and he goes from being a possible 15 points in P3 after penalties to scoring nil points altogether, and he wasn't too far from the end either. But such as way, but Ollie, brilliant race. It's hard to not give driver of the day not to anyone other than Ollie. I know what you're saying, obviously making a mistake in qualifying, but he bounced back in the best way possible. Fastest lap and the win, clean as a whistle pretty much the whole way through, and just made it work. And Spike's done a solid race going from the super sausage we were also talking about thinking weren't the ideal tyre to be on. And Jack, obviously, championship leader, coming up from the back of the field and having to make 2 pit stops due to damage, came in 5th place at the end is another good result as well. So it's a good one there, but I would still give it to Ollie. Fastest lap in the race victory, didn't seem to put a foot wrong in the race.
Absolutely. So then, Andy awards the Weak Wi-Fi Solutions driver of the day to Ollie, and for Ollie as well, he also picked up the A logo fastest lap of the race. That one is confirmed. Andy doesn't have the final say in who has driver of the day awarded by Weak Wi-Fi Solutions. He's definitely trying, but you can find out those results later on tonight from I believe it's past 10 p.m. That is when the votes close in the drivers chat. So it's a driver voted award, so you'll be able to find that out later on tonight. You can find that out on Twitter. The handle is at TTL_F1. We have Commentators Corner coming up. Andy, Commentators Corner. It's been such a long time without you.
I know, it's been such a long time. It's good to be back on Thursday nights, I've got to be honest. It sounds cliche and all of that, but dream team, nothing better.
Well, we do have Commentators Corner coming up. Of course, it is a separate stream, so make sure you subscribe to the channel down below. Make sure you hit the notification bell as well to make sure you're notified every time we go live. We can go through and run through a full schedule of what's to come for the rest of the week then. Andy, we will make our way to Commentators Corner, which is on a separate stream. Please join us then. Don't go away from the channel.